Hello, I'm here in Berwick on Tweed with a lovely art group, and I'm going to be talking about this. Sorry about the shake. I'm going to be telling people how I set up and stuff before starting. So I thought I'll turn on the video, so you'll not see very much for a while, but you'll be hearing stuff. Okay, now. So I was just saying there that it's helpful to have the paper right at the edge of the board in order that you can see what it is that you're painting and see your board by only moving your eyes, and so that you're not getting distracted by even the edge of the board. You know, it seems a simple thing, but the least amount of friction between what you're seeing and drawing down, the better, I think, because it's kind of memory work. Now I need flowers, don't I? So I get the flowers up there and we put some together. I bought hawthorn from the fields this morning. See how many pieces of that. Well, I don't want to let it cut it again.
You sit there, because that's right. Probably should.
Well, she's got there's lovely flowers there now. It's very tempting to use on them instead of the other one.
In combination. Lemons, flowers.
Take any of those, Tanya.
Yeah, thanks very much. I think you've got a good few setups here that you can use another time as well, you know.
I just brought them all in together because I grabbed them quickly from the spa well in the spittle. I do it with the gardening there,
Well, right, you've stolen them.
and some from our front garden as well.
Did you steal the flowers?
Well, I'm the gardener up there, and I did purchase a lot
So you're
there,
just
so
pruning.
I occasionally do take a few, yeah.
Yeah. I think you're well within your rights.
Clambering about in the flower bed at the top.
No go again.
It's very steep.
Alright, so I'm just trying to find little bits of green as well as the flowers. It's good to have the foil of the green leaves. Okay. Oh, that's a good idea.
Just so I can see.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
No. I'm going to cut a bit more off. Will they use that for this bunch? I went out with the dog this morning and picked some hawthorn. It's a little bit worse for wear now, having travels on 2 buses and then the train. Let's see. As I suppose I am myself. Although I'm not. I quite like the train, you know. Okay. I think because I bought it from home, I kind of want to stick that in as well. There's more that's not too bad that I think. There's some that's a bit fresher that I can put in the other one up there in a minute as well. Okay. If I'm saying something important that I think everyone needs to hear, I'll say it twice. So you can ignore a lot of what I'm saying probably, unless I go really like, listen to this. Okay. So I'm kind of happy with that. I think that's all right. And look, Dorothy has bought lovely table cloths for us as well. I think I've done my buttons up wrong.
Yes,
Yes, you have.
Don't worry. That's very trendy.
You can start a new fashion.
I think only if it's deliberate. If it's not, if it's,
Turn the yellow flower round. So
I
you can
do.
see it.
you see, bang on. I'm going to get another yellow flower.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because that's what I was thinking. They're facing
Yeah.
the other way. Yeah. So I've
We,
got.
we don't have much hawthorn on this side.
No, I'll get some more hawthorn too. I've got a full suitcase of it. But you know, I'm nearly. I've got loads of hawthorn, and it's good for the heart. Hawthorn, you know, you can eat it and everything. Okay, now. So, Sue. So what Sue was suggesting, having a flower turning this way, and that's, you were reading my mind, I think, because
You're just concentrating on the sort of 2 colours, are you?
I think so.
White
We're
with,
going
with
with-
the orange centre and the yellow.
Yeah, we're going kind of Van Gogh with the yellow and purple.
Do you need to have a dark purple one behind? Oh no.
I could get another, let's see.
The trouble is just so big on there as well. It's the
They
Berwick
are.
on there.
And the little vase is so
Yeah.
small, like. What is it, Gerber? Okay. Put it back over to me. And I'll put some hawthorn. When I've done the demonstration, I'll make sure that everybody has an angle, a good angle, you know, that you can see some white flowers and some of the purple and some of the yellow. Could you pass me some of the dark purple? You know, the stuff that dries really well. You know, the stuff I mean is kind of, it's in a little vase, I think, at the back. Yeah, it's sticking up there. Do you know that purple?
Oh, now I see it, yeah.
Yeah.
How much do you want? Of that one, yeah.
That one, yeah. I think I'll just take another little sprig of that. And thanks very much. And for the purposes of the demonstration, at least I'm going to stick with the purples and yellows and greens. I think 3 colours is plenty to be getting on with. And do you know what? I might even just leave it at that now. I think I'll just leave it at that and I'll stick those in there for the meantime. Okay. Maybe a bit distracting, won't it? Right. This is the usual carry on now. My daughters get really embarrassed, but before I start, I shake it off. Sometimes maybe do a little dance.
Loosey goosey.
I don't know what that means now.
You say it to kids before exam, loosey goosey.
Oh, loosey goosey, yes. I'm loose of limb before I begin. I want to be kind of free and, you know, I think especially maybe before doing a demonstration, the tendency is to feel a bit nervous, you know. Even although I know I'm amongst friends here, there's still the opportunity for some nerves. So it's helpful, like moving dissipates fear. So if you feel nervous in any way, any sort of movement will clear that up, you know. And a bit of a softness in the belly, softness in the knees, softness in the muscles of the face. And you're thinking, just get on with the painting now so that we can move. All right, so I've got a bag of collage material here as well. I'd recommend you do this now as well, that before you begin, you might want to visualize the space that the flowers are going to occupy on your page. And as I do that, I'm thinking that first where I'm kind of seeing the yellow here at the center, and then the vase below it, and then there's a yellow turning away from me over in that direction, and then there's the purple going up here, and 2 bits of green going up there. So in my head, there's some little bit of order already. And now I'm going to start selecting, and you kind of need to just trust yourself that you'll pick up what it is that you need. You know, as you kind of start, I start rummaging in my bag now for a minute, and I'll pull out something that will help me to make a start. Okay? So I'm not just hiding. I'm going to try and find, I think yellow. I've got this high flow acrylic. It's a nice yellow, but it doesn't dry quickly, so I'm going to get my acrylic. I'll use my acrylic yellow as well. This is cadmium yellow, and I think that'll work. Maybe with some lemon yellow. And we've got our PVA glue, masking tape. And these are the brushes. I like to use the burgundy brush set. They're nice and firm, and they kind of let me move almost like a palette knife. I can scoop up the paint and lay it down. So I've got a few of those. I've got a bigger one as well, just, you know, to get moving. Alright. I'm just going to try and find, I'm diving in now to find the other yellow. So, bear with me a second. It's here somewhere. And the blues. And the sap green. And I bought some ink as well in case you want to draw afterwards. Now you guys down there aren't going to be able to see what's happening on here. Are you happy enough with that?
No, I'm going to come and stand
Oh,
around.
when I eventually get moving.
Yes.
See, wise. Here's the wise men in there. Okay. And then purple. Okay, I think purple is a good one to buy because it's tricky to make a bright enough purple to explain flowers, I think. You know, like blue and red mixed together. Some of you might be great colorists now, and you'll know how to make a bright enough purple. I haven't yet arrived at that point, so I still buy it. And I like, if I want to get a purple flower bright enough, I like to give it a good shot, you know. No, Payne's grey is a good colour. White, let's see. And I'm telling myself to remember too, to breathe.
Sounds like another yoga class.
Does it really?
Those
I
trees
I bet
are
your yoga
already
teacher
there.
didn't look like this though.
I'm all I'm all relaxed myself. I'm just
Yeah,
into yoga
it's
all morning.
you know, breathing consciously is underestimated, I think.
Oh, she did breathing
know.
all the time. Yes.
Yeah, it's good to remember that. And I have some alcohol ink as well. I'm almost ready now. It's just one that, yeah, I want to find a dark green before I stand up again. And have I got it?
You put some
Yes.
green paint on quite early on, that's underneath that.
I did, yeah, but it's sap green.
Oh, is
I
it
want
right?
the
Yeah.
hooker's green,
Yeah.
or the Viridian green, or the Jenkins green. And I know they're in here because I put them in here last night. So, unless, yeah, there, look, there's something, hooker's green, all right. Okay. Someone got in touch with me from America after I was talking about hooker's green on a YouTube video, and they said, do you know that you said hooker's green? That can't be right. Actually, it is. It is the name of it. Oh, sorry, now I need my bottle of water for a quick drink. I would say one of the most important things in all of this is, you know, it needs to be fun, like. So look after yourself. Let yourself, you know, keep yourself hydrated. And, yeah, the temptation is often to kind of make yourself get on with it and all that. And, you know, it's good too to build in pauses. All right. But I suppose there's enough pausing been done now. So I'll start with, I'm going to actually start with the tabletop, I think. Okay. I think I will, yeah. Yeah, we'll keep that, we will. Okay. And you can work sitting down. It's actually quite nice sitting down because you'll have a view behind you of the dark of the tabletop, or you might have just a little bit of the tablecloth coming up the vase, whereas from my vantage point, I'd have quite a bit of the tablecloth. But it's fine, you know, I think that'll be nice as well. So, what am I going to do now? I'm going to see if I can make a colour that's a little bit like the tablecloth. And the first colour I think that looks a bit like it is this sap green, maybe is the kind of closest thing I'd say. No, that's your nice clean masking tape, and this is about to be solid. So this is my own. I'm just going to tape that down because I wanted it to be snug, you know, now with the, I want it to be secure. Okay. I tore some of that off already. Okay, so I want to see now, yeah, that's quite a good colour, isn't it, for that tabletop?
And was this a sap green?
That's a sap green, yeah. Just going to take the big lump of it off. Okay. Now my brush is damp. It's not dripping wet, and it's probably wetter than I actually need it to be honest. Now I put some water in, so I'm going to dry it off because, especially for the purposes of the demonstration, I want the paint to dry quickly in order that I can work over it effectively to create the edge of the vase and things. Vase or vase. So, do you know what? I'm just going to put that off again now, and I'll start again with that. And just let me know if anybody can't hear what I'm saying.
Are you on the shiny side now?
I'm on the shiny side. Yes, that's what I like about this paper. It's a little bit like the Yupo paper, which I have two here. But the Yupo paper costs an awful lot. Like, I'll pass it around there. You can see. I think I tried using watercolor on it the other day. It's quite nice as well. And there's a bit of just did that in the train. There's a, anyway. I'll just pass it around. You can see the feeling of it. But the shirt card, do you want to pass that around? So the shirt, just for people to feel it, because it's similar to the shirt card, but this is very cheap, and it's from the Toll Cross Art Shop is where I get it. So I put out some more sap green because I wanted it to be a little bit drier. But you see how it gets a bit hard to pull it around? So there's a happy medium between very dry and very wet. So I just touched the tip of the bristles there, dried it here, and then it was damp enough to be more viscous again for me to lift out what's there, and you can kind of let yourself be surprised by the surface. You want to not know what's going to happen, really. I think doing the cross-hatched kind of thing is exciting because it fills the area quickly. And I'm feeling quite loose, it's movement again, and lets me ease myself into the process of it. And I think what I might do though is, might just give a little splash there, and as the paint is drying then we can wipe it away, and it might leave a nice, because there's a lovely texture, a lovely pattern already on there. Did you get, oh shit, sorry.
Fine.
Look at
Oh, it
that.
doesn't matter.
Thank God it's green, isn't it?
It's a start.
Sign it.
Okay. Oh, stop it. Pressure. No, I'm going to put some, if you've got Payne's Grey, that's a good colour for this vase. But I don't have it with me today, so I'm going to make a kind of a greyish colour. And it's handy to be mixing the colour while I'm waiting. I'm not drying now, I'm just going to mix some colour that'll work for the vase itself.
And what was that you just put on?
What was it? Burnt umber. Good question, thanks. Keep me right now.
Brown and a blue.
A brown and a blue. Dark brown, dark blue. Doesn't have to be burnt umber and ultramarine, but I think ultramarine is a good colour to use for mixing. But you can use burnt sienna, Van Dyke brown with it, or any dark brown really. So, and I'm looking at the colour I'm aiming for as I'm making it. And again, kind of cross-hatching in order that I can see how it might read with the white paper coming through it, and it's almost that the top part is a little bit, and again I need a touch more water. Do you want to be able to see?
Oh, that's all right.
Of course you do.
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm just putting a touch more water in there in order to spread it around a little bit more. Yeah, move around if you can see. Now. What am I doing? I'm just spreading that out a little bit more, yeah. I forget what I was going to say there. There's some sort of thing going to come out of me, but it's gone. So again, practicing on a bit of scrap paper, and there's a bit of scrap paper for everyone too if you want to practice or use it as your palette, so that you can see how the colour behaves on the paper before you put it on, and you know the consistency, you know if it's going to run, with loads of water, or if it's going to be too thick that you can't move it. What am I doing next now? And then I think if I put a touch of yellow ochre, I didn't bring the yellow ochre up. It's diving down there again now. This is a great video, isn't it? There's nothing happening. You didn't bring yellow ochre? Oh, I do have some in my bag, so you can use them. You can use anything that I've got here now. Feel free to just take whatever I have for this. I've got yellow ochre in my bag, alright. I do have some, so don't worry.
She's got.
I have some.
Yeah.
I put it into my bag last night. I'm also looking at this because that's an old painting I tore up. And I was thinking that the line of blue in the middle of the vase might look a bit like that, wouldn't it? It might be kind of a nice colour for the line of blue. So I was half looking at the
Plastic.
I was half looking at the collage bag to see if I could find the colour for the bottom half of the vase, but I think I'll go with the yellow ochre idea, seeing as I came up with it. Oh look, I did have pastry. Yellow ochre.
Do you want to see that?
It's nice if you feel it. It's really good, that paper.
What's it made of if it's tree free?
I know you need to read it. I think it's made from
Plastic.
plasticky stuff, is it? Or is it bamboo? No, no. They're making big lots of it in Japan now, and it's supposed to be very eco-friendly in some way.
Probably bamboo.
I was thinking I wanted to have like really big
Alright.
sheets of it.
It's very smooth, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's really, it's exciting to work with. I'll actually wipe this away so you can see. Do you know that the that paper now does the same thing? When you wipe it away, it leaves a lovely sprinkle. If I wiped it away earlier, there'd be more dots. I just forgot. You know, when you splash it on like and wipe it off, that's what it does. Now this has a little bit of yellow ochre in it because I feel like the bottom half of that vase is a little bit warmer in colour than the top. Okay. I mean, this isn't exactly the shape. It'll be going that way and that way a bit more because I'm looking down on it. And the yellow flower might sit over the top of it as well. Even sometimes as soon as you see something, you might want to just do it. Oh, that's a lot of yellow. I can spread that on, pass that around, that yellow. There's enough there for everybody. But you know what I mean? Sometimes you want to just kind of, as soon as you notice the bright centerpiece there, no harm to put it in. And to kind of, like, I might have been worrying, oh, will I be able to get the yellow to cover that grey now? And just do it. Just squirt it out, and yes, it does cover it. And if it didn't, you could put some on a bit of paper, and you could take those bits of paper when they're dry, and you could set those on top as little bits of collage, so that the paper can cover the grey underneath anyway. I might actually do that later on for some of them. I should maybe time myself in order that you've got time to do something yourselves. How about, is another 10 minutes okay with everybody? Does that sound alright? If anyone is desperate to get going, go back and move and do your own thing, you know? Okay, so now we've got a bit of yellow there. I'm going to do this so that I make the shape of the yellow. It's kind of extending out the way a bit more, and I want to take a little bit off the centre to get a feeling for the, you know, so that there's not so much to dry before I can put in the dark brown that will be in the centre of it there. And you can use your kitchen paper. Will someone time that 10 minutes? Because I'm not timing it.
No, go on as long as you want, we're fine.
Well, you know now. Tell me when 10 minutes from now.
Well, I'll look for 10 minutes.
Because it'd be nice to see, to have a go. I'm just going to lift off a little bit around the edge. This is why I like this paper as well, because it allows you to fine tune things after you've put it on with freedom. You can come back in and, you know, wrestle with it, and then, so you don't have to worry. This is the thing. You always can adjust the edges. And it's the same with collage. If you feel like, oh God, I can't make it bright enough, like I said, you can paint your paper with collage and paint it on that way. There's always a way with mixed media to do what you want to do. And a big brush will obliterate something that you don't like. You know? It's really great, because you can't do that in life, can you? You'll be locked up. You know, there's life or death feeling without it being life or death. It's good. Now, oh yeah, I had a bit of paper I was going to maybe put on for the middle of the vase. I don't know where I put it, so I'll find some more. Do you know what I was saying about the line dividing, the line going across the middle of the vase there? I think this will do. Yeah.
I think it's
Oh, there it is. Where is it?
Do you normally use a piece of paper as your palette?
That's a good question. Yeah. Well, I bought these. We had a fair few takeaways. I was going to say in lockdown, but to be honest, still we do have a fair few takeaways now and then, and so I use them for palettes sometimes. But I do prefer, if I've got scrap paper, this sharp card is very good for a palette because it behaves the same, obviously, as the painting surface. It's white. I can see what the colour will look like on the painting. And this is just the PVA glue there, I kind of squirted too much. But it's good for a palette, you know, I think that's fine. And you could even possibly use it afterwards. I never did that, but I might do that now. Could use it afterwards for, you know, surface of the next painting maybe. It'd be kind of good to try that. We're all into reuse, aren't we? Reduce, reuse, recycle. Okay. Oh yeah, I was going to put on the middle. So a little bit of PVA glue. And, so where is it? So it's thicker on one side than the other. And I kind of want to show the cross section of the vase a little bit. I mean, it matters a bit to me that it's looking as though it's kind of surrounding the vase. That's not bright enough there now. I want it to be a bit brighter on that side. So I think that Janet's spotted. I think this bit is a little bit brighter. And I'm going to stick that on over here. And join party. Yeah, I think that's alright. You know, you can kind of judge as you go whether you're happy with something or not. Sometimes you need to leave a thing alone for a minute before you can fully decide if you're happy with it, and just move on to do something else rather than keep asking yourself, what am I supposed to do in this bit? It's kind of helpful, I think, to move on to. Now, as I move on and half close my eyes, I notice that there's really a significant contrast between the pot and that flower there. I might even push up the centre line a little bit so it's closer to the yellow. Is it a chrysanthemum or a gerbera? Probably a gerbera, is it? It's not a chrysanthemum. You sounded like you knew what you were talking about.
I only know about chrysanthemums.
Okay. Yeah, so I pulled up the line dividing the jug a little bit, the vase a little bit more. And I'm just painting over the collage piece in order to explain more clearly the shape of that line, just because I want to. Okay, it's good to be able to stand back from your work a little bit as well. So every so often, even just to physically move, I think, is good for us. So just stand up, take yourself away, break the heat, you know, take the heat off, and then when you come back you might see things freshly. When I came back there, my inclination was to slightly change the shape of the bottom of the jug, but I don't want to get too kind of involved in that just now. Yeah, because, you know, I want to get on with painting the foliage and the flowers too. But it seems important to me that this edge be a bit straighter. So I just lifted off some of the edge on that side with the paint, with the brush, kind of chiseling off the paint to make a bit of a cleaner edge on that side. I'm okay with that, I think. Just make it a bit softer. So you can still lift off after a little while even. The reason I was fiddling around with it there is because I want the edge where the vase stops and the cloth starts to be the important edge, not the edge where the white lifted off stuff started. So it kind of made it blend in a little bit more. And then it looks to me like maybe I could knock the corner off the bottom of that vase there as well, in order to give it more of a feeling of the, you know, the left sitting on the table. Where's my green? I'll try that again. I might as well put a touch of green on again in order to clarify that side. Because I don't want it to be the same all the way around, the carving out. So I'm putting on some green on this side and at the bottom to anchor it down maybe. Even although it's not that dark, but it's okay. The important thing for me just now is to clarify the shape of the jug. And sure, with the green on the brush, I might as well. Well, first I'll do another little splash in order that maybe I'll make it a kind of an orangish, no, a yellowish splash this time. And seeing as I've got the dark green on this brush then, oh, what am I doing? That was all a bit wonky. Oh, it's okay. It's a bit of a batikish kind of a cloth anyway, isn't it? There's a bit of pattern happening there. So I think layering is helpful when it's got a pattern like that. Now, I've got some green on this brush, So with my eyes half closed, I'll use a little bit of blue as well. I'm going to try and find now the darkest parts of the foliage. I was checking to see if the yellow was dry enough for me to fiddle around with dark beside it. And I think it is. I thought there was green on the brush. There's only a little bit of green, was there? Where's it gone? There. I could always use another brush as well. Dear God. Did I use that earlier? Must have. It's the hook of green. I shouldn't be using that after already losing one leg. I definitely used it. Because there's hooker's green on there. Has anyone got pliers?
No, I didn't think so.
No. The temptation is huge to just use my
Run it under hot water. But there isn't any hot water.
I used the hinge of the door there. Did you know what I was going to do? Let's see. As long as I don't break the door. Oh, stop it. This is Carol's. Oh, sorry. You're out there. Do you know what? I'm going to forget about this one and use the sap green mixed with the... I think the sap green will do the same job. I'm obviously not meant to be putting hooker's green in there.
Excuse me, from where I'm sitting, which is where nobody else sees,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like there, it's like you've got light coming in here and a shadow coming in here. Is that just accidental or is it planned?
I'm just doing it because it reads as a little bit brighter. Oh, thanks. It reads as a little bit brighter to me on this side than it does on that side. But like I was saying there, the more important thing for me was to explain the form of the jug
Yeah.
than to be too hung up on the lights and darks. I'll tend to that again later. But for now, it does read to me as though it's a little bit darker on this side
Yeah.
from where I'm standing. The vase is darker than the background. The vase is darker than the background here too, but the background to me seems a little bit brighter on this side. Just marginally. If you're setting this up yourself at home, you might want to put your flowers on a windowsill where you've got a clear light and dark, and it's natural light falling on the flowers, because that's actually a really lovely thing, natural light falling on the flowers.
Mhm.
And then you've got a very clear dark side to the vase and a very clear bright side, and that's kind of nice, you know. I can show you a couple of examples where I have a place at home where I set the flowers up on a stool, on a table, on a stool, so that I'm looking across at them when I'm standing at the easel right by the window. And I have some pictures that I did like that I can show you why. So it's worth taking your time to set things up so that you do like the effect of the light. But I think here, this is great, and it's lovely. The pattern of the cloth is lovely to have as a foil for the flowers. Now I'm putting, with my eyes half closed, I notice the foliage higher on this side than it is on this side. Might be a good time to pull out some of these. We've got some stencils here. And, you know, when you're doing the foliage, you can kind of get a bit convoluted sometimes, so it's no harm to do something with a stencil maybe to fill in the space, you know, just to give it a little bit of a different quality of mark. And there's loads of stencils, there's all different stencils happening here. Little bit of yellow ochre on the floor. Cadmium yellow. Oh, sorry. I just picked up one and put it on with the other. That's it. Okay. And then
It looks like that, doesn't it?
it kind of does, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find
Yeah.
ways, like, I'll hold it up for you there. I'm trying to find ways to make it read as what I'm seeing, that are every mark different. I want variety. So I want to feel like whatever it is, like a chef, you know, you want to reach for just that little amount of spice that's going to make your dish sing. So you want to kind of keep yourself open to whatever might work. So consider, before you do anything, is there a way that I could do this that might be different from what I've done before? Without putting yourself under too much pressure at the same time now, like. But I do have, I'm just looking at those two cornflower leaves shooting up at the back there. And again, I think that they might work with that stencil shape. Stencil is handy because it just stops you being, careful. You don't want to be too careful, you know. And there's a second one, but I think I'll use a different thinner one because the second leaf needs to be different. I want it to be different. And it's a slightly different colour as well. This is over the 10 minutes, Dorothy, I'm aware of that.
10 minutes is up, yeah.
Yeah. Could we have a show of hands? Would you like me to continue into the purple?
Yes, please.
And
Yeah.
would anyone rather get going? Oh, thanks very much.
No, we'd
Yes.
rather see the extra.
Yeah.
Are you
I
okay?
think I'd rather, because we can always try and do something
Sure.
at home, but
Yeah, that would be good. And we can share the video as well, of course, later, you know. And you can set yourself up, like I was saying, at home with your favourite vase, your favourite tabletop. Make it meaningful for you. Select flowers that you love the look of. And get variety in there too. Like we've got those two leaves there in the background, you know. And then there'll be the purple here, another few yellow. You see the yellow bits and pieces I could put in now. And I think what I'll do is I'll just pick up the cadmium yellow. But first I want to put a bit more green because there's steps. So there's about the height of that flower again before I get to the other yellow. Not quite, but almost. And I don't mind about going over where the hawthorn flowers are because I know that I've got this Christmas stencil that has little kind of flowery bits that are snowflakes really. But like when you can make little flowers, and it's better to have a dark underneath in order that you can put on the light of the flowers. You get me? So, and some people make paint stencils. Well, look, there's a new one. I was doing an online class there recently, and a friend from America said, no, this lady is from Bolton. 2 people now have sent me stencils, one from New Jersey and one from Bolton. And after the class, they send me up. They send me things to play with. Like it's great. So this new one now is even better for the hawthorn, isn't it? I don't need the snowflake anymore because I think that small one there might work for the hawthorn flowers. We'll see. Anyway, my point is, I'm not worrying about being careful because the dark is a bit like the bass in music. It hangs it all together, and you want to be able to freely put on the dark for the foil for the brights later. As a foil for the brights later. And I'm just noticing that the green there is a little bit, the green here is a little bit, I'm very grateful of this stand, by the way. It's good because it lets me, although it's a big camera,
It's just not big enough.
I know, it's ideal really for this stuff, you know.
Do you ever mask things out before you start?
That's a good thing to bring up there now because I do, and I think I might do it now. Well, before I start, sometime, like during the painting.
You painted the bottom, and then you painted the vase. Now you're painting the flowers. Are you painting the background to the flowers, or they're just going to be on white?
I'll see. I haven't made that decision yet.
Oh, I see. Right.
I'm still deciding on that. But what's your name, Teresa? Teresa was just asking me there, do I ever mask anything off before I start? And not so much before I start, but now I feel like masking off the side of the vase in order that I can make this a bit clearer. The background, I want to make it a bit clearer. Whether it's going to be brighter, a green or not, I don't know, but I think I want the edge to be a bit more satisfying, you know. I think I might need to put some white into it actually, because it's a bit, I think it needs a touch of white just to subdue it a tiny bit. That's titanium white. And I'll just dry off my brush and take any colour off it so that I'm putting on just the, kind of mostly just the white then. Maybe a bit more yellow too, you know. And I feel like you can remain lively. Oh, I forgot to wipe away, didn't I? I was going to wipe away that. Those yellowish strips.
There comes a point when it's completely dry though, is that right?
Pardon?
Does the paint completely dry on that
It
surface
does, yeah.
eventually?
Even the drops.
But it doesn't buckle, does it?
Not very much now. If it buckles, it'll
I
dry
think that's brilliant.
after.
It's a really new tack altogether.
What is now? Putting on that
No, I've never done that before.
I think it's exciting.
It's
When you put on a
exciting.
bit of masking tape,
I think it's marvellous.
yeah, it's really
Yeah.
a shortcut. It's a shortcut. It
Yeah.
helps you get there faster. I love it. I put it back on again because I wanted it to have more impact, to make it a bit darker again. So putting a bit of white over it, I think will maybe make it a little bit clearer again, you know.
Oh, it does.
Uh-huh. And you can even do it like at an angle if you wanted to carry it on in order to help explaining the edge of things, but then you can disturb it again. Your fingers are great too. There's a bit of yellow went on there and more yellow again. Okay. All right. So, oh Jesus, Mary and Joseph, you're getting everything flung at you there.
It's been there before.
But actually, it's no harm to say. It's good to keep your tools loosely and you're not gripping. You know, to just let yourself be a bit kind of free, so that things might fling out of your hand. Just watch the windows and all the rest, and the animals, and the people. Okay. There was a little bit of faffing around there with the carry-on here, so I'm just clearing it up to clarify that edge another little bit. Okay, and keep a radar up for the feeling that you're chasing something. As soon as you start to get all like, no, that's not right, leave it alone for God's sake, and do something general somewhere else. Use a roller or put on a big bit of collage. Try your best to not give out to yourself for the way a thing is. Let it alone, and if you do something somewhere else, I'd say 9 times out of 10 it resolves itself. The thing won't be an issue anymore. So keep a radar up for that dog chasing a scent feeling. Okay. And I know I'm talking about all this stuff because I know that myself in me, and I need to say it again and again to myself. You know, no, I'm just gonna. Okay. Whoa. Right. I'm gonna put on a bit more of the yellow there now, up here. So this yellow is slightly different. This shooting off bits that way. There's little small, more elegant, kind of little thin pieces than the gerbera. And I'm using the brush, having dipped it into the water. It's dry and clean. It's not dripping wet, it's dry. Sorry, it's damp. It's not dripping wet, it's damp. And I'm just finding the shape of the spaces between a few of those petals in order to capture the character of them. The thin way those petals are. You know, those flowers at the back there, they're quite thinly extending into the space, whereas these ones are big and bold and brash looking at me. The ones back there are extending elegantly into the air around them. And some of them are long and some of them are short, and that's what I want to get. You might all have your own relationship with flowers where you see different things. Everybody, thank God, does see different things in things. So I'm just telling you what I'm seeing and what I'm aiming to explain here. It doesn't have to be the same at all as what you might see. But maybe it'll encourage you to explore what it is that inspires you about the setup in front of you. Okay. As I do that, I notice that there's green underneath, like it's not all white in between. And I want to, now that I've explained the edge of those petals, I want to continue carving them out, even just using the green, you know. And that's why I like these brushes. There's another one of those cornflower leaves going back there, and the cornflower leaves have more ultramarine blue in them. And sure, I might as well I use that stencil again, for God's sake, why not? Make my life a bit easier. I'm trying it that way. What was I going to say there? Thank you. Just my technician. What was I saying there? I don't know. Was I saying something before that? I forget what it was now. Now I've kind of gone over the edge of my lovely, elegant petals, so I'm thinking it gives me a chance to use my collage that I made earlier. Where's the glue?
Here?
No, but I mean the bit I put out on the paper. Is there a bit of glue on a piece of paper somewhere? I'll just put out some more. Because I want to clarify the edge again. And you know, you'll be looking to make chance, like Paul Key said, make chance essential. So, and make variety essential. Try and find a different way of doing things. So as soon as something comes up that feels like it might be an obstacle, see if you can turn it in your favour and create a different mark. So the edge of the leaf coming over the petal caused me to explore collage there a little bit. And speaking of collage, now let me see what else is in the bag. I wonder if we've got some purple. Carry on. And I might as well stick in a touch of something dark at the centre there. Again, feeling the way towards the centre of the gerbera. Let's see, I could stick another petal now while I've got it. This is looking very symmetrical, and in actual fact, when I'm looking at that, these petals here are longer. So I'm going to make them longer on this side to disturb the symmetry. And another way to disturb the symmetry is to make my Payne's grey colour again. And I'm going to push up here a little bit to make these a little bit smaller on this side. But I want the colour not to be as dark as that. So I mix it here with a touch of white in it. Now that there's no white paper behind it, I need to use white really to make that grey of the vase. What am I doing now? You know, you'll be cleaner than me. I keep kind of
No, I don't think so.
Really? Well, Francis Bacon said, I want to have order in my work, but for it to have come about through chaos. So I think of him when I'm a bit chaotic. And I think that there'll be order coming eventually. But it's really in observing keenly that that things will be revealed to you. Just noticing, I'm going to bring a couple of petals over there again. Okay, and then maybe some of that will also be trigger happy with my new stencils now. I think maybe some of that could also be used in these things. So the very thick paint is pleasing to describe the light falling on a petal, I think. So I just wanted to bring some of that brightness into the ones at the back. Another purple. I could find something. Might be a little bit kind of. It's not quite it, but I think it's a start, because like I could imagine that I could stick some of the purple paint straight from the tube onto that. And I'd maybe get away with it, like, let's see. So here's my purple. And if you use acrylic, you'll know that it dries quickly, really. Let's see, I'd get away with that if I put a bit of purple on it. And I just soften the edges, so I'm pulling off some of the bits at the edge there, knowing that I can place them on, because it's a kind of a bitty flower. I can use the little bits I tear off. I've got glue on this finger. There's a reason for that. I was going to just stick it on directly. If you use your fingers to paint with, you kind of want to watch that you clean them in between. Best you can, like. Okay, and I'm looking at the shape and size of that, so it's shooting off that way, and it's further over than, you know, I'd have another vase again before I get to the end of it. So it's not all guesswork or anything. You're noticing the position of things and making the adjustments, and as it's a physical thing, you can actually physically adjust it with while the glue dries. So it's not set in stone just because I put it down there. A bit more glue out here. A bit of break over there now, because like I was saying there, you know, when you're working as well yourself, make sure that you stand back often, because even if you're not able to fully see it all, it'll give you ideas about what you could introduce, what might be the next thing. Just wanting to mix some of the ultramarine into that purple. the ultramarine blue into the purple, and then there's the cornflower here. It's not as bright, so it's got a bit more blue in it. And it doesn't have to read even as a, like, you can forget that it's flowers, that it's beautiful flowers you're painting, and just see the colour of one thing beside the colour of another, and the pattern of one part. The pattern of one part beside the pattern of the next part. I think I took off a piece of that. Yeah. I could use a bit of that with some white. There's some more white here. It does feel like you're engaging that part of yourself that's a child again. It's a bit like enjoying feeling the stuff in nursery school, reaching for whatever colour and texture and pattern will make the thing as you want it to be. And if it doesn't, it'll surprise you in some way. And you might, you know, so it feels like it's an enlivening, energizing thing. And I think that part of it is kind of dependent on not really minding how it turns out. You know, there's a kind of a thing about it's okay if it's not going to end up a masterpiece for heck's sake. You know, and I had to let go of that like desire, because doing this kind of work, it can go pear-shaped altogether. I say that, but like as soon as you do release the desire to do something important, you start to enjoy yourself, and despite yourself, you'll do something that satisfies you. You know, whether or not it speaks to everybody, you know that you're being true to your own, you're following yourself anyway. And so there's something, isn't it? I think anyone who paints or does anything creative will know that edge of caring more than anything in the world and being able to risk losing it all as well. You know, there's something about that line.
Hard, isn't it?
It's tough. It's the human condition. That's something like that. I don't know, I haven't nailed it myself, but sometimes I can feel that, the cusp of it, like, you know. And then it's over here, that little bit of purple. Okay. And then there's another leaf there. I may as well stick with the shape, but this one seems to me to be getting what I want. So while you'd be wanting to do things freshly and keeping it fresh, you also could do with recognizing if it's not broken, don't fix it. So this stencil is working for the cornflower leaves for me, so I'm not going to make myself try and find another way of explaining those leaves. There's enough variety for me at the moment without challenging myself that way. So I wanted something that would feel like the cornflower. Even although this isn't really that blue, I'm going to make it a bit bluer, because I think when a colour is in three places, it has more harmony somehow. I'll just give it a little bit more volume. This is really testing me, isn't it? The seesaw. I do one-to-one teaching sometimes, and there's a man who I teach, who we actually were in Marchmont, not far, you know, Marchmont, a couple of months ago now. In February I was there. And I just say, actually, God rest Hugo's soul, you know, he was such a lovely man. He was a very, very kind person who lived at Marchmont and was there when I did the residency there. And I did some teaching with him, actually, portraiture, not flowers. But just to say that, you know, he made huge inroads, didn't he, into the creative arts and the borders, and such a kind and generous man.
Hugo.
He died a couple of weeks ago now, he passed away, so.
He was very young,
And he
wasn't
was
he?
a very young man, it was tragic, yeah. So, anyway, the reason I'm talking about Marchmont is because I was teaching a one-to-one client when I was there, and he came down to Marchmont, and I'm talking about the seesaw. He was interested to make marks while moving, and he would use the wind and the stick in order to kind of make marks, you know. And we found this cattle grids thing, like a seesaw. And I said to him, get up on that now, and I'll shake you on that while you do your drawing. So he was like this. And this just reminds me of, it's like poetic justice. I'm having to manage my seesaw here now. But he did some really exciting drawings through being moved by the wind or by this seesaw thing. You know, it was good to let the environment inform the drawing, and how much do we impose, you know. Anyway, here I'm wanting to impose fully on this seesaw. I'm just putting on a bit more to fill in those gaps there. It doesn't even have to, I don't even need to know what it is that's filling those gaps. And then the last little bit of that flower over there. I mean, it would be good, wouldn't it, to have some bit of action yourselves when the thing is feeling fresh in you, I suppose, this kind of idea of working with mixed media. And I just got whatever.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
It worries me a bit that from here, and I don't know what it's like, I ought to stand up, I suppose.
Well, I can do that.
You'll still get it a little bit. Is that those top ones are too big for the actual vase. They
These
don't
two.
come down far enough on the top. You see the one on the left, especially behind the yellow. No, the one on the left, yes. That's right. Behind the yellow, front one, there's a space there which looks as though they're perhaps in another vase behind it. I'll get up.
Yeah. I need you to show me. You just
Okay,
do it.
It's just this bit here I'm worried
Oh,
about.
yeah.
I don't feel that is part of this. You get the idea?
I think I'm going to keep working and we keep the faith and see what happens. Sorry. It's all right. You're close to getting hit here, like. I'm only messing. No, I think what I try and do myself is just see what it is that's kind of calling to me, and as I work. But I think this edge does need some work. I think you're right that this edge here needs some work.
Yeah.
You know, and it's probably one of the final things that we could work with. Maybe using a stencil like this. I could just find, you know, that dark. Where's it? Oh, there it is.
I like this idea of this, whatever you call those things for cakes.
Stencils.
You
Yeah.
know, using it as a sort of mask thing.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. There's loads of them there, so you can try it out. And I think that does make you feel a bit like playful as well. Do you know? It makes you feel playful when you've got
Yes.
stuff to play with, like
Yes.
to make different marks. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of green here just to change this edge a little bit. And then I want to do something to describe the back of that yellow flower. You're going to need to reserve judgment now until the very end. Because I can't be feeling like I'm going to put a foot wrong. There we are. Okay, and then
That
there's
kind of
this,
thing would be absolutely excellent for doing trees, wouldn't it?
the stencils. The stencils would be good
Yeah,
for trees.
very
Yeah, they
nice.
would, because trees are very tricky. Someone said, I think it was Rumi, that trees are like God's drawings or something in the sky. You know that. So this is the back of that flower there now, and I think I want to make it a little bit more yellow at the edges. But it is darker than the bright flower that's got the light shining on it there. And what I want to do again is use the carving out thing. Use this brush, and I don't think I've used that one yet. And carve out the spaces in between again in order to capture that kind of, as I say, that kind of elegance of the thinner petals. But every second one I do, I need to wipe the brush so they're not just painting in. And I don't want to get too much like a conveyor belt to make them all regular. But here and there, I think it's quite a nice thing to explain the triangle of space that's between. And actually, it doesn't even have to be all finished to the edges, does it? Okay, and then we've got a white. What time is it? 2:15. What time do you finish here?
3:30.
3:30. Oh well, you might have an hour.
Yeah.
I'll do by 3:30. So you'll have 45 minutes maybe. Yeah. Okay. May as well do my hawthorn after going to the trouble to bring it. I mean, it wasn't much trouble, but that's very thick paint I'm using here. Maybe a little bit brighter than it needs to be there now, really. So there's cadmium red and some yellow. I'd say to kind of a peachy thing. If
If you just had like ordinary paper, this would be a bit more difficult to do with it, because it would dry much quicker. I don't use acrylics very often.
Yeah, with acrylic, it's good to get paper that's primed for acrylic, but sometimes it has a weave in it, like canvas. I sometimes use watercolour paper primed with gesso, but it doesn't really behave the same way. It doesn't let me wipe away with a clean
It would
swipe.
just dry straight away.
It kind of soaks in a bit, yeah. So whatever edges you want to do there, you'd need to maybe impose them on top, rather than lift off. And I think it's lovely to have the opportunity to lift off. I'm going back to my snowflake.
I suppose you could just do it in oil.
Oh yeah, oil is lovely.
Oil is very minute.
Yeah, but what I do sometimes is do oil over the acrylic. Once the acrylic layer has been done, give yourself 10 minutes to put everything down and create an inspiring surface to work over, and then use the oil paint to carve out the juicy brightness of some of them, petals and things. Okay, so that was just a kind of peachy colour I wanted to put on over the top, because to me it looks as though it's actually a little bit darker. Those hawthorn flowers to me look a little bit darker than the white, and I've got some brown mixed into that peachy colour now. When I call it a peachy colour, it was made with cadmium red and cadmium yellow and the white, and I'm using it mixed with the burnt umber to make some of the edges where the hawthorn meets the brightness of the gerbera. And I might as well, while I'm at it, put on some of that slightly darker ring around the gerbera.
Would you always start with the vase before the flowers?
No, I have different ways
Do
of
it at the
starting,
moment,
like,
yeah.
whatever kind of swings my boat on that day, like. Is that what you'd say? Whatever. Sometimes I'd start with a line for the tabletop. I'm just looking at it. There's something here now that I feel like I want the flowers to sing out a bit more than they are, and the foliage to, and I feel like this is diluting it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is change the surface of the tabletop somehow to make it read as different, more different from the foliage. Or maybe I could change the area of the foliage, maybe. Let me see now. What about putting that on over there? Just some things that would kind of cause this to read as very different from this down here. I think I could do with some cerulean blue. It's cobalt. I want to distinguish the table. Cerulean blue. I want to distinguish the table from the setup a bit more. And I'm still, I think unless you've got a very good reason for changing something there, go with what's here, I think. Like David Hockney did say, the moment you cheat for the sake of beauty, you know you're an artist. So you're allowed to cheat for the sake of beauty, but make sure it's for the sake of beauty and not for the sake of I can't be bothered doing that. Or I don't know how to find that colour. Yeah, I'm just going to experiment with that in there. Is there something a little bit, just because that blue is not in there, I thought it might be a thing, I'm not sure though. Or what about this? It's going to be stuck now again.
Is that acrylic?
It is, yeah, high flow acrylic by Golden. They're £25,
I was going to say, that's really expensive,
It's
isn't it?
dear,
The
isn't
gold
it?
and stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
Can I use some of your water? I'm using your masking tape and now your water. Because I just want to disperse that a bit and see if it's what I'm after. Or if still we want to go with something different like collage. Yeah, it's not really doing what I wanted to do either. What about this now? Do you know what I mean? I'm wanting to find something that makes it just different altogether. if I had a roller, it might be the thing that I could use a roller to describe that area. What I'm looking for is some of that paper here that's under here. What I'm going to do now, if I do that, and then we're just going to spread that out a bit. Feels kind of exciting to me. I know it's not exactly the colour, but the thickness of it to me feels like it's causing enough contrast.
It's making that dark jump. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think we can play around with it, like I could maybe clean water, your clean water. Keep yourselves give yourselves the best opportunity, you know, to so keep your water clean and make sure that you've got space enough that you fully occupy the space you're in. Have everything you need within easy reach, you know, because really you want your focus to be observing and painting down what it is you're seeing without anything getting in your way, in your head or outside.
You're basically making an extension of your mind. You're making your mind like embody the space. I was just listening to this thing this morning about this guy who's talking about extended mind.
Oh yeah, I feel like it's a kind of an expansive thing. There's a quality of like moving beyond the edge, and I can feel everybody here is invested too. You know, there's something about that that's pleasing, and I think it's a natural way that we are to be in community making. There's something that feels home there for me, like. So I don't know if that resonates with what you were saying. I'm not really sure if it's off on another track, is it?
No. Yeah, I think so.
So, yeah, I mean, it's still have, they say, like the Japanese, I think, stop when they're 80% full, when they're eating, you know, and it's kind of a good idea too for us to stop when we feel like we're 80% done, and you're probably thinking that's a good idea now because others need to do something, but that's a nice colour, isn't it? I think last move, a bit of freshness in that line there. It's not it. I say last move, but I did buy these especially for today. This is white oil pastel, and I get the Sennelier one. They're dear enough, but they cover really nicely. So if you're wanting to re-establish an edge, it might not be that this is the best place to do it now, but if there's an edge that you want to re-establish, you can really clarify things with the oil pastel. And if I had a whole host of them, actually, look, I do. Forgot about that. I can use,
And that just sticks on top of the paint.
it's oil pastel,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's good. It's like oil paint on top of the acrylic. It'll work. It'll work. You can't do it the other way around, but you can do it oil over acrylic, as far as I'm aware, anyway. I'm trying to find a nice bright blue for that line dividing the middle. I think what I need to do is put this on and just put a touch of the white over it then. Or even it's kind of nice like that, isn't it? I like that colour even on its own. Because I felt like something needed to be made a bit bold again down there.
Mind your water.
Well done. You're on fire now. I wouldn't have fallen with Janet sitting there. Okay, where's the big brush? Look at my 2-inch brush now.
Here, it's here.
Oh, well done. It's often a good idea to finish them with a flourish. Do something kind of bold and brave at the end, like, so you can remember that it is only a painting, and it can be quite a good idea to lose parts again, like. And the thing of turning it one way or the other means that the runs will go in different directions. Sorry. And you can always wipe it off any bits where you wanted to keep it clean. As long as you're careful with your drawing too, with your wiping off too. Like I wasn't really there. Okay, sorry, I'm starting to kind of going to, like, losing it and finding it more again now. God, it's hard to stop. This is the chasing a scent kind of thing. But I do feel like there's one thing I want to say to you. I was going to make that colour in the line dividing the vase read more as the colour that it is by putting white into the oil pastel that I think was kind of ultramarine blue there. Okay, I'd say I'll stop
That's
there
nice,
altogether.
yeah.
And there's still room to adjust things. If you look at it out of the corner of your eye for a few days when you do something, you might come back to it and have something new to say. Thanks very much for your attention. I'm aware it went on a bit longer than, obviously a lot longer. But I hope that you'll have time to do something yourselves now. I'll set up a vase down at that, for that table as well. And if we need more, we can. We've plenty already bought vases.
Yeah, if you want to borrow anything down there, just trim it up. and
So I'll
scissors
maybe
it.
put 2 together. I'll do 2 more. And I'll leave this one sitting here for anyone who wants to just start.
Right.
Did you want to put more, like, I think you might be alright with the flowers that are in there from every angle, but if you want to put some more in, maybe would I just do, would that be better if I just stick some more in?
Yeah, yeah.
So
I don't know, I think to me it just seems to need a bit more
Hawthorn on the other side.
On the other side.
Yeah, and I stick one yellow one facing that way too.
Pound for
Okay.
the paper.
And I'll maybe just show anyone who couldn't really see things on there so much. I'll
That's
just show
great.
on the
Really, yeah. What colour green would you call that? The green you put on last?
Very green.
yeah,
Yellow green.
that green there, look. This is the spring green. It's really very cheap, that stuff. Okay, thanks very much for joining me, and all the very best. Give it a go. An hour and 11 minutes.